Like we've been saying the past few days on the channel, the E3 season is definitely heating up, and this morning we got 3 more bits of information that are honestly very surprising and very shocking, and I think have a bunch of implications that we definitely need to talk about. The first bit of information we're going to go over is Xbox Game Pass is now coming to the PC, and more of this information will be unveiled at E3 during Microsoft's press conference, but I definitely want to talk about some potential implications of what Game Pass is coming to PC and why I think this is a big deal. Next up, it looks like a crazy new mode is coming to Smash Brothers that honestly I don't really understand it, but maybe it will somehow work. And then finally, one of my favorite games from the last generation, Ghostbusters, is now getting a remaster and is coming out on all available platforms. So what's going on with this information? What sort of stuff do we need to talk about? Sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games.
Hey, RGT85. Hey, Sean.
Oh my God, it's Stevie Richards! Alright, so the first bit of information I want to go over is about Xbox Game Pass is now coming out onto PC. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Xbox Game Pass, why? It's such a cool service. Basically, for a small monthly fee, you get access to a myriad of different games available on your Xbox One. And there's first-party games, there's third-party games, there's games from this generation, last generation, previous generations. It's really a great and robust service, and it's something that I really enjoy using, and it really makes the Xbox One sort of stand out in my mind as a good platform because of things like Game Pass. When you look at a game like State of Decay 2, I probably never would have played State of Decay 2 because I wouldn't have paid for this game. But the fact that it was available day one on Game Pass, the fact that games like Sea of Thieves was available day one on Game Pass, it allows me to play games that maybe I wouldn't have checked out otherwise because they're available on the Game Pass service. And of course, the backlog of games is absolutely awesome as well. You have things from the Xbox 360, the original Xbox. So just a great service. And now it is coming to the PC. And more information, like I said, will be unveiled from Microsoft during their press conference during E3 2019. But the thing I find the most interesting about the Xbox Game Pass coming to PC is, you guys know I've been talking about how I feel that the Nintendo Switch is going to get a version of Game Pass. And I'm not saying I have any inside information, it's just a theory. A game theory. But no, it's just something that I've been sort of thinking of based on trends that I have seen going on with Microsoft and Nintendo. But what I really find interesting about Game Pass coming to the PC is one thing that I've always said about Game Pass potentially coming to the Nintendo Switch is that I always felt it would not be a one-to-one replication of what you see Xbox Game Pass on Xbox One. It would be different. There probably wouldn't be as many games. There would probably be some different games, and most importantly, like I just said, it would not have as many games as the Xbox One. Well, Xbox Game Pass that is coming to PC is what? It's not a one-to-one replication of what you see on the Xbox One. It does have less games on there. So I think that says a lot of different things right then and there, because if Xbox and Microsoft is willing to try to change Game Pass to put it on the PC so that it is a different version of Game Pass so that the Xbox One still has the best version of Game Pass on it, why wouldn't they want to do something like that on the Nintendo Switch? I know it's sort of a far-fetched idea, but just the fact that it's not a one-to-one replication of Game Pass that we see on Xbox One, I think that speaks volumes about what Microsoft is trying to do for this generation going forward, and of course the next generation. So yes, you'll be able to play things like Gears of War 5 day one on your PC via Xbox Game Pass. Of course, we just saw Halo, the Master Chief Collection, come to the PC via Steam, and now that will be available on Game Pass as well, more than likely. So honestly, this is a pretty big deal. A lot of people are sort of downplaying this because a lot of games that are available on the Xbox One are available on Steam. Games like, of course, the Halo Master Chief Collection and Cuphead. But I think when you have something like Game Pass, which is a monthly subscription service where you don't have to buy all the individual games, it's a pretty big deal. So I'm definitely curious to Microsoft's presentation now. I think it's going to be absolutely crazy at E3. Somehow, some way, Nintendo Labo VR is about to get introduced to Smash Brothers. I'm not kidding on this. So there's a popular Twitter feed that basically gives you guys updates on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It's done this for subsequent versions of the game. It's a Twitter account that's been around for quite a while. Basically, it sort of data mines the upcoming updates for Smash Bros. Games and gives the information. From what I've seen, their track record is pretty much spot on. I haven't heard any complaints about it, and a lot of people are starting to report on this, so I wanted to talk about it as well. Well, we all know that Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is getting an update very, very soon, probably before E3, and a lot of people are wondering what this update is going to entail. Obviously, the last update, we got things like Stage Builder included into Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which, wow, that was kind of a mistake. But yes, Stage Builder was at least somewhat interesting. But now in the latest update for Smash Bros., it seems like Labo VR is coming to Smash Bros., and I'm not quite sure how this is going to work. Because if you own Labo VR, you know that this is not really a traditional VR headset. It doesn't have a head strap or anything. Yes, you can make one or something like that, but it's not a traditional VR headset. In order to play a lot of the Labo games, you have to insert the goggles and then either use one of your hands that's free, or have the Joy-Cons on the side and then move around like this, which for a game like Smash Brothers, I don't think would work very well, if at all. So I'm thinking that potentially whatever this update is going to include for Labo VR and Smash Brothers isn't going to be the traditional game mode itself. I think it's going to be a secondary game mode, maybe some sort of mini game that incorporates Labo VR into it. You've obviously seen Labo VR come to other games so far. We saw it with Super Mario Odyssey, which honestly worked pretty decently, I thought. It was okay. It wasn't a great VR experience or anything, but I definitely had fun messing around with it. And then you had Breath of the Wild, which really just made me sort of sick, and I didn't feel very good playing it, and I could only play it for like 15 minutes. It was really blurry. Just not an enjoyable experience. But I think by incorporating some sort of Labo VR integration into Smash Brothers, it kind of shows that maybe Labo VR has been the most successful Labo kit thus far. You didn't really see this sort of support for other Labo kits with post-game launches. Sure, there was a few things here and there, but really once the Labo kits came out, Nintendo just kind of forgot about them. But Labo VR seems to be actually doing a little bit better than the subsequent Labo kits that we have gotten. I honestly kind of like Labo VR. I thought it's pretty fun for 40 bucks. Like, it's a decent sort of little VR experience for someone who's not really into VR and just maybe wants to tiptoe into it. For 40 bucks, you can't really beat it in my opinion. And of course, the more Nintendo integration that we get, the more interesting things can get. So I'm definitely very curious to see this Super Smash Bros. Update and see what they're going to do with Labo VR, because I think it could be kind of cool. You know, maybe it has like a thing where you could go around the different stages and look at the different stages. Like, I would love to do the castle stage from Castlevania in it and just see it in a first-person perspective. Or maybe they'll have characters flying at your screen after you beat them or something in some sort of mini game. I don't know. It's going to be very interesting, but I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what sort of thing Nintendo is going to do with Labo VR for Smash Brothers. What would you like to see Labo VR do in Smash Brothers? Let me know in the comments section down below. But finally, the most exciting information for me from this morning has to be the fact that one of my favorite games from the last generation, Ghostbusters, is getting a full-on remaster for the PS4, for the Xbox One, for the Nintendo Switch, and for the PC. Now, if you did not play Ghostbusters last generation, what's wrong with you? Like, that game was absolutely fantastic. There were a couple different versions that released for Ghostbusters, the video game. You had the PS3 and the Xbox 360 version of the game, which did a realistic graphical style, because obviously those systems were trying to push graphics. There was a nice graphical leap from things like the original Xbox to the Xbox 360, the PS2 to the PS3. So this version of the game used a very realistic visual style. It almost looked like a movie, and it definitely sounded like a movie. You had all the original cast doing their voiceovers in the game. Now, unfortunately, Harold Ramis has since passed away since the releasing of that game, but in that game, you had all the voice actors from the original film reprising their roles, and they all sounded great. It definitely made you feel like you were watching a third Ghostbusters movie, and notwithstanding the reboot that they did a few years ago, it felt like the traditional third Ghostbusters movie that a lot of people had wanted. There was also a version that released on the Wii and the PS2. Now, this version of the game actually used a cartoony graphical style, and while it was essentially the same game, the Wii version of the game was actually interesting because it included motion controls, and I really liked the motion controls in this game because I felt like it sort of made you feel like you were in the Ghostbusters universe. Now, it did have this cartoony graphical style, but it kind of reminded me of the animated series, and as a fan of the animated Ghostbusters series, I really enjoyed this version of the game as well, alongside of the Xbox 360 version of the game. I thought both of them really had their own place, even though essentially they were the exact same game where you did the exact same things in the exact same locales. The graphical style and the motion controls really added to the game for me. And then, of course, you had a version released on the DS and the PSP, which was a top-down perspective. It wasn't really bad, but it definitely wasn't up to the pedigree of the other versions of this game. Well, this game is now getting a full-on HD remaster, and like I said, it's coming to the PS4, the Xbox One, the Nintendo Switch, and PC. Now, what's interesting is I wonder if they're going to include motion controls in the Nintendo Switch version of the game. Let's be honest, the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X are probably going to have enhanced versions of this Ghostbusters game, probably 4K textures, crazy things like that, things that the Nintendo Switch obviously cannot do. Now, while the portability aspect of the Nintendo Switch is nice, I think by adding in gyro controls into this game, you can really make this version of the game sort of unique. It really is what set the Wii version of the game apart, was the fact that you had these motion controls, and they actually felt pretty good. So I would love to see motion controls included in the Nintendo Switch version of the game as sort of a added bonus for picking up the Nintendo Switch version of the game that's obviously not going to have these 4K resolution textures and all this crazy stuff. But even if they don't do that, this is a game that you definitely need to pick up. It was one of the best games of the last generation. If you're a fan of Ghostbusters, whether it's the movie, the cartoons, anything Ghostbusters related, or just fun games in general, 80s style, movie side of games, it's a game that you gotta buy. It's a game that you absolutely have to buy, and I'm absolutely thrilled that this is being confirmed for all platforms. All right, so that is all the news that has happened this morning. It has been a very busy morning. Who knows if more stuff is going to happen later on today. There's supposed to be some sort of Call of Duty Modern Warfare revealed today as well. Maybe we'll talk about that on the channel if there's some cool stuff, because initially I liked Black Ops 4 until they ruined it with microtransactions. But let me know what you think of everything in the comments section down below. Are you excited for the Ghostbusters Remaster? Are you looking forward to playing Xbox Game Pass on your PC? And how the hell is Labo going to work on Smash Bros. Ultimate? Because I really don't know. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Check out other videos on the channel. I just did a fun predictions video for E3 with Wood from Beat 'em Ups yesterday on the channel. Make sure you guys go check that out. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.